The Gatling Gun is easily the strongest tower within TDS, nearly coming up to 1000 DPS without support, and with supports easily over 1000, making towers like the Engineer, the Accelerator, and even the Turret seem weak in comparison. However, notice how I said it does it without supports, meaning that it could get stronger with supports. So that provides the question, how strong is the Gatling Gun truly? And I believe I have the answer. And trust me, it's a lot bigger than you would have ever expected. Okay, so let's first talk about support towers that we need to bring to buff the Gatling Gun. Now, there are a few support towers, but the 3 towers I decided to specifically bring are the Mercenary base for its damage, obviously, the Commander to increase the fire rate drastically, and the DJ to not only make everything cheaper, but also increase damage via the red track. That combined with 2 consumables I was also going to bring, being the damage flag to increase the damage even further, and the cooldown flag to buff the fire rate even more than it already was. I did take a screenshot of the map, and as you can see, has a fire rate of 0.5 and a damage output of 160. This is with everything placed down, including the consumables and Commander using its coat of arms. And if you do the math, that means that this tower would do about 3,200 DPS. So that's the answer, right? 3,200? Not exactly. One thing I refused to mention earlier was that the Gatling Gun actually has Pierce. Now I might be wrong with how the Pierce works, but if I remember correctly, then the first 2 enemies that get hit by the Gatling Gun's shot will take the exact same amount of damage as the amount of damage the Gatling Gun has, and while the 3rd enemy will take only half of it. So, if we decide to take that into an account and assume that the Gatling Gun is always hitting 3 enemies with the max amount of damage, that would mean that the DPS would actually go from 3,200 to roughly about 8,000. That is almost the same amount of DPS as 30 fully maxed out accelerators. So that's the answer, right? 8,000 DPS is the most you can get from the Gatling Gun? And well, currently, yeah, you would be correct. The most amount of DPS you can get from a Gatling Gun currently is about 8,000. But there is something I want to go over real quick that I think might blow your mind and might make the Gatling Gun even stronger, even though it's not possible. Well, unless you're a time traveler. You see, on September 11th, 2024, the damage flag was actually nerfed. Originally, it used to give a buff of 40%, but now it only gives a 20% buff. So if we include the additional 20% from the old damage flag, which isn't possible, then we do the math all over again, then it would give about an extra 1,000 DPS to the Gatling Gun, giving it a total of 9,000 DPS. Now we could also try and say that the Commander we're using is prior to its rework, as it has an extra 5% fire rate buff, but it's getting late and I don't want to do more math and research than I already have, so I think I'm just going to end the video here. But now you know the true strength of the Gatling Gun.